There's one mistake that kills your power before it even gets a pulse. One error that makes people skip you, talk over you, and treat you like background noise. And here's the twist. This mistake has nothing to do with your IQ, your resume, or your potential. The mistake is this. You look poor. I don't mean the balance in your bank app. I mean the signals you broadcast the second you step into a room. Your posture, your clothes, your voice, your timing, your energy. Power lives in perception. If you look poor, act poor, and carry yourself like you've got nothing, most people will decide you are nothing. And once they stamp that label on you, you're already playing from behind. Think about how every culture has always sorted people on sight. In royal courts, it was fabric, color, and cut. Today, it's fit, cleanliness, and intention. Different symbols, same game. If you present like you don't value yourself, you teach the world not to value you either. Most people try to argue their way out of this. I'll prove myself with hard work. I'll show them I'm smart. I'll be kind and they'll see. No, the world doesn't wait for your backstory. People judge in seconds. They're not interviewing your soul. They're scanning your surface and assigning status. If your first signal says low value, they won't ask for chapter 2. What happens next is predictable. Feeling invisible, you start over-explaining. You tell your life story. You justify your decisions. You chase approval. You talk more. But more words don't add weight. More words advertise need. And neediness smells like poverty even when you're genuinely talented. The Machiavellian move is simple. Never look poor, even if you are. Not because you're lying, but because you're choosing the frame that keeps predators off and opportunities on. Power isn't about owning everything. Power is about making others believe you already control more than enough. Why does this work? Because humans orbit strength and avoid weakness. When someone looks like a burden, people keep their distance. When someone looks self-contained, people lean in. In dating, if you show up like you didn't bother to prepare, your date will assume you don't value yourself, and if you don't value you, why should they? In business, if you walk into a meeting sloppy, frantic, or cheap-looking, they won't trust you with money, even if your numbers are brilliant. You can be wealthy and still get treated as broke if your presentation screams, "I've lost control." Ignore this principle and the consequences are harsh. You'll work hard, but never be chosen. You'll be insightful, but never be heard. You'll be capable, but doors won't open because you don't look like you hold the key. And once people lock in the perception that you're low status, every future interaction has to fight through that fog. On the other hand, if you stop begging for respect and start structuring it, people hand it to you before you speak. You do it by mastering presence. Presence is not about price tags. It's about precision. Dress in a way that signals sharpness. Clean, fitted, quiet, intentional. Stand tall even if your wallet is on life support. Slow your breath, slow your speech. Poor men shout to be heard. Powerful men can whisper and still command the room. When you sit, be still. Stillness reads as control. Control reads as, I have resources. Throughout history, rulers understood this. Many weren't as rich as they looked, but the symbols worked because people respond to images faster than facts. Watch what happens when you refuse to look poor. Service improves. Strangers treat you with caution instead of casual disrespect. Even your rivals hesitate because they can't quite measure what you're holding. That's the power of crafted perception. And once you can do this at the basic level, there's an advanced move, the aura of untouchability. Show up composed, then disappear. Don't linger for claps. Don't overstay for validation. Leave them wondering, who was that? Mystery multiplies perceived value. Let's get practical. You don't need luxury. You need discipline. Wardrobe. Pick a simple, limited palette that fits well and repeats. Consistency becomes a signature. A $70 jacket that fits will outperform a $700 jacket that doesn't. Grooming. Nothing ruins presence faster than neglect. Clean haircut, trimmed nails, pressed clothes, good shoes. Neglect reads as chaos. Chaos reads as poverty. Voice. Aim for calm and measured. End sentences on a downbeat, not a question mark. Breathe from the diaphragm. Pause on purpose. Silence is a status move. Posture and pace. Shoulders back, chin neutral. Walk like your time is scarce. Don't rush, don't fidget. If time bends for you, people bend to you. Boundaries. Poor energy crowds. Rich energy selects. Don't overshare. Don't justify. Keep answers short, then pivot. Let others fill the space. A quick reality check. Never look poor is not a command to fake a life you don't have. It's a strategy to stop leaking status. The mistake most people make is trying to buy signals instead of embodying them. They chase loud brands, flash rented status, and end up looking insecure, not powerful. True power is subtle. The man who's truly dangerous projects control without bragging. He doesn't need the room to know his story. He needs the room to feel his standard. Here's the first challenge. Tomorrow, step outside with deliberate presence. Dress intentionally, even if it's the same pieces you already own. Pressed and fitted. Walk slower. Speak less. Hold eye contact, then release first. If someone pushes for explanations, give a headline, not a documentary. Watch the micro reactions, the extra beat before someone interrupts you. The better service, the small deference. That's not magic. That's the physics of perception. And once you can control perception, you can change outcomes. Because the world doesn't treat you as you are. It treats you as you appear. From today on, stop broadcasting poverty. Start broadcasting command. Let's take this deeper. Looking poor isn't just about money. It's about perception. It's about the story you tell without words. When you look poor, people assume you've lost control of yourself. And once they believe you've lost control of yourself, they assume you've lost control of your life. In their minds, you can't handle money. You can't handle stress. You can't handle responsibility. They move on before you even get a chance to prove otherwise. This is why Machiavelli insisted leaders must never appear weak. Power is built on symbols, and symbols shout louder than words. Think about Julius Caesar. Before he ever ruled Rome, he dressed as if greatness already belonged to him. His enemies mocked him for being polished, too proud, too sharp. But the people admired it. They saw confidence instead of desperation. That admiration created momentum. Caesar projected strength long before he truly had it, and people's belief carried him higher. Here's the brutal twist. Once people tag you as poor, desperate, or low status, it's almost impossible to erase. That first impression clings like a stain. You can be brilliant, but they won't listen. You can be hardworking, but they won't pick you. You can even be wealthy in secret, but if you look poor, they'll treat you as if you are. This is why so many talented people stay invisible their whole lives. They think the world will eventually see their worth. It won't. The world only sees what you show. So how do you show control when your reality is tight, when your resources are small? The key is discipline, not dollars. Looking poor doesn't mean lacking money. It means neglect. Sloppy clothes, nervous hands, desperate chatter, poor posture. These are all free mistakes. And the good news? they're also free to fix. Let's break it down. 1. Appearance. Poor people wear clothes that control them. Powerful people control their clothes. It's not about labels, it's about fit, cleanliness, and intention. A clean, sharp, well-fitted shirt will outrank a wrinkled designer shirt every time. Shoes polished, hair neat, clothes pressed. You don't need variety, you need sharp repetition. 1 or 2 intentional outfits worn consistently can make people believe you're sharper than you are. 2. Body language. The body never lies. Hunched shoulders scream defeat. Shifty eyes scream insecurity. Fidgeting screams desperation. Train your body to speak a different language. Stand upright. Move slower. Speak with pauses. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Stillness looks like control, and control looks like wealth. 3. Energy. Poor energy is frantic, noisy, restless. Rich energy is calm, grounded, selective. Even if you're nervous inside, project calmness outside. Slow your breathing. Lower your voice. Don't chase the conversation. Let the conversation chase you. 4. Time. Poor men overshare and overstay. They hang around too long hoping someone notices. They keep talking, hoping words will save them. Powerful men don't beg for attention. They arrive with presence, deliver few words, then exit with control. Their absence creates hunger. People want more, and that wanting more builds perceived value. Now, watch how people respond when you master these basics. In business, they'll assume you can handle more responsibility than you actually can. In dating, they'll see you as someone of value, even before they know you deeply. In social life, strangers will treat you with more respect simply because your presence tells a better story. It's not luck. It's not magic. It's the psychology of human ranking systems. People can't help it. They assign value instantly. But let's sharpen the edge. There's an advanced move that takes this from power to untouchable power. Sometimes, the key isn't just looking like you're not poor. It's looking like you're above the game entirely. This means mastering the art of absence. Most poor men are always available, always accessible, always begging to be seen. Powerful men are rare. Their time is scarce. Their presence is not guaranteed. That scarcity multiplies their value. Think about it like this. Water is everywhere, so people take it for granted. Diamonds are rare, so people chase them. If you are always accessible, you're water, necessary, but cheap. If you are scarce, you're a diamond, rare, valuable, unforgettable. You don't need to vanish for weeks. Sometimes disappearing for a single night, not answering right away, or leaving an event early is enough to remind people you don't chase. They must chase you. And here's the deepest secret. When you stop looking poor, you don't just protect yourself from others, you transform yourself. Carrying yourself with presence sends a message to your own mind. I am not defined by my current state. I am more. That shift in self-perception pushes you to rise, because you start moving as if you already belong at the next level. And when you move that way, others respond accordingly. Illusion, over time, hardens into reality. So remember, the world doesn't reward truth. It rewards performance. You can be drowning inside, but if you project steadiness, people trust you. You can be rich inside, but if you project poverty, people reject you. The choice is yours. Do you walk into the world looking like you've lost control, or looking like you own yourself? Because here's the Machiavellian law. Power isn't about what you have. Power is about what others believe you have. And if you can control that belief, you can control everything. Let's cut straight to it. People don't know your bank account. They don't know your struggles. They don't know how many sleepless nights you've had. All they know is what you show them. And if what you show is desperation, carelessness, or neglect, they'll stamp you as poor. Once that label sticks, it becomes a cage. Every interaction, every opportunity gets filtered through it. That's why Machiavelli was ruthless about appearances. He knew that perception shapes reputation, and reputation shapes destiny. If people think you're weak, they'll handle you roughly. If they think you're broke, they'll underpay you. If they think you're desperate, they'll treat you as disposable. But if they think you have control, even when you don't, they'll respect you, they'll follow you, and sometimes they'll fear you. This is the paradox. It costs nothing to carry yourself with control, but the return is infinite. Looking powerful, even when you aren't, creates opportunities. Looking poor, even when you're secretly capable, slams doors in your face. So how do you control the signals you send? First, appearance. Stop confusing wealth with brands. That's the rookie mistake. People hear "don't look poor" and instantly imagine luxury cars, designer labels, and watches they can't afford. That's not power. That's insecurity dressed up as wealth. True power is subtle. It's about discipline, not display. Sharp, clean, fitted clothes will project authority far more than flashy logos. Poverty shows up in neglect, not in simplicity. If your clothes are wrinkled, your shoes dirty, your haircut sloppy, people assume your life is sloppy too. Fixing this doesn't take money. It takes intention. Second, body language. Your posture tells the world how you see yourself. Shoulders forward, head down, nervous shifting that screams weakness, calm stillness, steady eyes, measured gestures that screams control. Don't confuse stillness with stiffness. You're not a statue. You're someone who doesn't waste energy. Each movement should look chosen, not accidental. Third, voice. Poor men shout. Powerful men whisper. That doesn't mean being timid. It means knowing you'll be heard without straining. Speak slower. Pause more. Cut filler words. End sentences with certainty instead of letting them trail off. A steady voice tells the world you don't need to fight for space. Fourth, time. This one is overlooked. Poor men linger. They try to hold attention by staying too long, talking too much, explaining too deeply. Powerful men know when to leave. They enter with weight. They deliver with calmness. And then they exit with precision. Leaving at the right time multiplies your value. People remember you more when they want just a little bit more of you. When you master these basics, you stop looking poor and start looking untouchable. And when you look untouchable, people begin to chase you. Here's why. Humans crave mystery. When they can't quite measure you, they imagine you as more than you really are. If you reveal everything, people see your limits. If you reveal just enough, they assume your limits are higher than theirs. Mystery is leverage. Mystery is free. Look at history. Napoleon Bonaparte wasn't born rich. He was the son of a modest family, but from a young age, he carried himself with the poise of someone destined to rule. His sharpness, his composure, his deliberate presence made others believe he was more than his background suggested. That belief gave him access. That access gave him power. Eventually, the illusion hardened into reality. The boy who looked like a ruler became an emperor. The same principle works today. You don't need wealth to look powerful. You need control over the signals you send. Clean clothes, calm voice, upright posture, sharp exits, scarcity of presence. These are the tools of appearance, and appearance shapes opportunity. But there's another layer. Looking poor doesn't just damage how others see you. It damages how you see yourself. If you carry yourself like poverty, your own brain starts to believe you belong at the bottom. If you carry yourself like power, your own brain starts to believe you're destined for more. That's the real magic. Illusion, when practiced long enough, becomes identity, and identity shapes action. So here's the test. Next time you step outside, don't just dress differently, move differently, walk slower, breathe deeper, speak less, exit sooner. Watch how the world tilts in response. People give you more space. Conversations shift in your direction. Strangers treat you with more respect. That's not coincidence. That's physics. The physics of perception. Remember, nobody out there is keeping score of your inner potential. They're judging the show you put on. And if you put on the show of poverty, they'll bury you under that label forever. If you put on the show of power, they'll hand you opportunities you haven't even earned yet. That's the law of appearances. That's Machiavelli's truth. Never forget, the world doesn't treat you based on who you are. It treats you based on who it thinks you are. And you are in control of that image, whether you realize it or not. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think not looking poor means pretending to be rich. They chase expensive labels, oversized watches, and cars they can't afford. They end up looking like clowns wearing costumes. That's not power. That's insecurity begging for validation. The true Machiavellian path is not about flaunting. It's about controlling perception with discipline. Power is not about excess. It's about restraint. It's not about how much noise you make. It's about how much silence you can command. When you walk into a room, you don't need people to see every detail of your life. You need them to feel one thing: control. That's enough to shift how they treat you. Now, let's go into advanced tactics. These are the moves that take you beyond simply avoiding the look of poverty into building the aura of being untouchable. 1. Master your silence. Poor men believe words will save them, so they talk too much. They explain, justify, and overshare. Every extra word leaks desperation. Powerful men weaponize silence. They say less. They answer in short, deliberate sentences. They let pauses hang. Why? Because silence forces others to lean in, to wonder, to imagine. And people always imagine more power than you actually have. 2. Master your exits. The longer you stay, the cheaper you become. Poor men cling to attention, trying to stretch moments as if they can squeeze value out of them. But the longer they linger, the more desperate they look. Powerful men know when to leave. They don't overstay. They don't chase applause. They enter with presence, deliver calm impact, then exit on their own terms. That restraint makes people hungry for more. 3. Master your standards. Poor men accept everything, every invitation, every offer, every insult, every role. They're afraid to say no because no feels risky. But every yes without standards screams desperation. Powerful men refuse quietly. They decline offers that don't fit. They set boundaries without raising their voices. They don't argue. They simply don't comply. That calm refusal creates respect. People admire a man who doesn't bend to everything. These 3 principles, silence, exits, standards, turn you from someone who doesn't look poor into someone who looks untouchable. And untouchable is the highest category in human psychology. People may pity weakness. They may admire strength, but they respect untouchable. Now, let's talk about your environment. Poverty is contagious. Surround yourself with people who look poor, sloppy, careless, restless, and soon you'll start reflecting their signals. Surround yourself with power, disciplined, intentional, ambitious, and your standard will rise. You don't need to be rich to choose your environment. You need intention. Place yourself where excellence lives, and you'll naturally start mirroring it. But here's the hidden benefit. When you stop looking poor, you don't just change how others treat you, you change how you treat yourself. Appearance affects psychology. If you stand tall, your brain feels taller. If you carry yourself with calmness, your mind becomes calmer. If you project discipline, you'll feel disciplined. And once you feel disciplined, your actions follow. This is how illusion shapes reality. You start by projecting control even when you don't feel it. Over time, your brain aligns with your body. Confidence begins to feel natural. Standards begin to feel non-negotiable. You stop pretending and you start becoming. But let's go even further. Machiavelli knew that unpredictability is one of the greatest weapons. Looking powerful is good. Looking untouchable is better. But looking unpredictable, that's the highest shield. When people can't predict you, they can't categorize you. And when they can't categorize you, they can't control you. So, here's the move. Break patterns. If you always show up sharp, one day, don't show up at all. If you're always calm, one day, disappear completely. Then return stronger than before. That unpredictability keeps people on edge. They stop underestimating you because they can't get a fixed read. Fear grows in the gaps of uncertainty. And when people fear offending you, when they respect your space, you've already shifted the power balance. Think about this. Poor men are predictable. They're always available, always present, always explaining, always chasing. Powerful men are rare. Untouchable men are unpredictable. That unpredictability creates an aura, and aura is what makes someone unforgettable. So, let's tie this together. Looking poor kills opportunity. Looking powerful creates opportunity. Looking untouchable makes you unforgettable. And here's the beauty. It costs nothing. It costs nothing to stand tall. Nothing to speak less, nothing to keep your clothes sharp, nothing to leave early, nothing to be scarce. But those small disciplines build an image that bends the world around you. The truth is simple. People don't treat you based on your truth. They treat you based on your performance. You can struggle in silence, but if you project control, the world bows. You can be capable but invisible, and the world ignores you. That's why Machiavelli's warning matters. Never look poor, even if you are. Because once the world buries you under that label, you'll never rise. So test this. Tomorrow, when you step into the world, ask yourself, what signals am I sending? Do I look like someone begging for scraps? Or do I look like someone who owns himself, even if he owns nothing else? That small shift will change how others react to you, and how you react to yourself. Let's bring everything together. The principle, never look poor, isn't about vanity. It isn't about arrogance. It's survival. Looking poor invites predators. Looking powerful keeps them away. Looking untouchable makes them chase you. And all of this has less to do with your bank account and more to do with your self-control. Think about how the world operates. A man who looks poor walks into a bank. He is doubted, questioned, sometimes even denied. The same man, if he looks sharp, composed, and intentional, is treated with courtesy, respect, and sometimes offered more than he asked for. Same man, same bank, different outcome. Why? Because appearance tells the story before words ever arrive. This is why perception matters so much. People don't wait to see who you really are. They don't wait for your inner genius. They don't wait for your kindness. They see your posture, your clothes, your eyes, your timing, and they make a snap decision. That snap decision sticks, and once it sticks, it's almost impossible to erase. Now here's the trap most fall into. They confuse poverty with humility. They think, if I dress simple, if I look humble, people will respect me. Wrong. Humility without power is invisibility. No one respects humble weakness. They only respect humble strength. Humility works when you've already proven you're untouchable. Until then, looking poor only buries you deeper. So how do you rise? You master 3 controls: appearance, energy, and boundaries. Appearance. Don't let neglect define you. You don't need luxury. You need discipline. Clothes clean and fitted. Shoes polished. Grooming sharp. Poverty shows up in carelessness, not simplicity. Never look careless. Energy. Poor energy is loud, frantic, restless. Rich energy is calm, grounded, deliberate. Even if your stomach is in knots, project steadiness. Walk with purpose. Sit with control. Speak with pauses. Use silence as your weapon. Boundaries. Poor men beg for attention, so they stay too long, agree to everything, and accept scraps. Powerful men set standards. They say no. They know when to leave. They disappear when needed. Their restraint signals abundance. Abundance looks like wealth. Once you master these 3 areas, opportunities shift toward you. People will respect you more. They will trust you with more. They will chase you because they believe you have something, even if you don't. That belief is leverage, and leverage is power. Look at history again. Napoleon wasn't born into wealth, but he carried himself as if he was destined for it. His confidence, his posture, his voice, his sharpness, they made people treat him as greater than he was. That treatment gave him chances, and those chances built his empire. Illusion became reality. The boy who looked like a leader became Emperor of France. This is the deeper truth. Never looking poor isn't just about fooling others. It's about transforming yourself. When you project discipline, your mind absorbs it. When you act composed, your body starts to believe it. When you refuse to look powerless, you start to feel powerful. And when you feel powerful, you act powerful. Over time, the mask fuses with the man. Illusion becomes identity. Now, let's sharpen the final tactic, the art of unpredictability. Looking sharp is good. Looking rare is better. But looking unpredictable, that's how you become unforgettable. When people can't predict your next move, they can't box you in. They hesitate. They give you space. They whisper instead of shouting. And that hesitation is power. So practice unpredictability. Don't always be available. Sometimes disappear. Don't always be calm. Sometimes vanish completely. Then return sharper, stronger, more composed. That unpredictability makes people cautious. And caution means respect. This is the end game. Looking poor kills opportunity. Looking powerful creates opportunity. Looking untouchable makes you unforgettable. And you don't need riches to reach this level. You need discipline. You need presence. You need restraint. So here's your final challenge. Tomorrow, step into the world differently. Don't just change your clothes. Change your energy. Change your boundaries. Walk slower. Speak less. Hold your head higher. Exit sooner. Watch how people's eyes shift. Watch how conversations tilt. Watch how the world responds to a different version of you. Remember this forever. Power is not about what you actually have. Power is about what they believe you have. Control that belief, and you control the game. Never look poor, even if you are. Because once they label you poor, they'll bury you in that box forever. But if they believe you're powerful, even if you're still building, they'll open doors, they'll give you chances, and they'll whisper your name with respect. That's Machiavelli's truth. And if you live it, the illusion you project today becomes the reality you step into tomorrow.